Humans make 35,000 decisions a day. 95% are irrational. Why is everyone irrational? We have the explanation of how and when this happens. Are you irrational or just human? Irrational Humans, where I talk about body language, micro-expressions, behavior economics, behavior science, neuroscience, consumer behavior, persuasion, influence, how people make decisions, irrational behaviors.
One of the things that I never would imagine when we start with the podcast Irrational Humans is that the majority of the emails that we receive are from you asking us, is this true? Is this a myth? So let's talk about crossing arms and what is the biggest mistake people made and can cost you a relationship, a job, or a business.
Face reading profiling. Your face isn't just for selfies. Here's how it controls your life, from love to power. Understand how your face shapes your opportunities. Unlock the secrets of your face and start winning more.
One of the problems with so many videos and TikTokers and Instagrammers and YouTubers, you name the media, I can tell you about it. And there's a lot of people who Google something, they read an article from someone who never did a research or never talked to an expert, and they keep replicating things that are wrong. I'm not on the conspiracy theory, and I don't care what people does. But when they ruin your chances to become a better person, have better relationships, and that affecting you, that is when I step out. Let's go for one of the number one myths people ask us about, crossing arms. Now, one of the things that I says in all my classes, specifically on the body language, is you don't use behavior to determine if somebody's lying. Whatever you're looking for, you're gonna be found it. It's called confirmation bias. What is confirmation bias? I'm going to a place where I have a thought about a person, and the only things I'm gonna find, the only thing I'm gonna be looking for are things that confirm me that I'm right and the other person is wrong. One of them is, I'm gonna check if you're crossing your arms, are you lying to me? Well, that is wrong. Let me tell you what. When you go to a yoga class, or you go to a Pilates class, or you go to any place that you need to keep balance, if you think about it, do this. Don't do this when you are driving or you're in public transportation. Do this when you get home. Get on one of your feet and try to keep balance with the left or the right feet or leg, whatever is the strongest one. Probably is going to be pretty difficult for the average human being. Now, let's do it this way. Grab the opposite leg that you try to get balance, cross it on top of your knee, and do the same with your arms. Cross the arms. And suddenly, magically, you're going to find out you have balance. What this has to do with the myth. When we try to think critically, when we try to make a decision, it's important to use the emotional brain that is related to the right brain and the thinking brain that is the left brain. We're going to simplify because it's a myth behind that, but let's simplify it this way. There are two chances where the two brains are going to be connected. When you have dyslexia, like I have, then I pivot in between the two brains, and when you cross your extremities. Why this happen? Because you use both to make decisions and be less irrational. So, if you give the prize to a person and the person have negative facial expression, the body is shrinking, they cross the arm and pull away from you, now you have a problem. You need to readdress why the person is doing this, what is happening on the content and context. Now, if you give a prize and the person doesn't modify anything else on the body, and they're looking at you and they look up and they're frowning what I call the 11 between the eyebrows, and they cross their arms, is because they're making a decision. The worst thing you can do as a person selling is try to keep selling. The person is making a decision, do not interrupt. One of the first things that I say to sales reps, when you have the yes, walk away. So let's go back. If a person crosses their arms, but you don't see anything else that is negative, the person is activating the thread of thought. Now, if the person crosses their arms, pulling away, and you see more clusters, up to 3 clusters, they can significate that the person have a negative attitude. Come back and says, it's any other information you need. Is any way that I can explain the same thing with another approach? Is anything else that you would like to make a positive decision? What I'm doing that is an embedded command that a positive decision. If it says, is any problem, anything is wrong, you're just gonna send the person to yes, if something is wrong. You never use the negative approach, because what you try to do is get the person out of the negative to the positive. And next episode on the Tuesday, where I give you tips, we're going to talk about what is more accurate, when you're crossing your feet or when you're crossing your arms. And if you want to know more about body language and what is real or is not, why don't you take a look in our class, Body Language for Everyday Life, when I'm going deeper and deeper with these kind of thoughts.
Susan Ibitz is a former political influence consultant, profiler, and civilian hostage negotiator. With expertise, studies, and masters in human behavior, behavior economics, neuroscience, and a nerd for data, Susan works on the humans that grow your business. High performance, high behavior training. Teach corporations and employees how to hack into humans using behavior, neuroscience, and persuasion. Behavior economics. She has been called freaky and the top expert in her field by the Chicago Tribune and Psychology Today, by showing how to profile anyone in 30 seconds. She is the author and researcher of Irrational Humans. People make 35,000 decisions a day, and 95% are irrational. But why and how?